Okay, yeah, welcome to Satsang. The following is a very little story about a soldier quite some time ago, and he was sentenced to death. And on the day of execution, he was transported in a cart to the gallows. And as he was being transported, he made himself look at life for the last time, you know. And as he looked around, a stillness descended upon him. And at that moment, he saw everything as united in total harmony. A peace came to him to the point where he wasn't afraid to die anymore. In fact, death at that moment just didn't matter to him at all, because he experienced something that was so beautiful. The moment he arrived to be executed, the king at the time pardoned him, and so, you know, gave him his physical freedom. Well, the soldier, what he experienced was so beautiful, so grand, that he didn't he couldn't think about anything else. Even the freedom of his body wasn't enough. And all he could do was move around asking people if they know what it's like to have this experience, you see, because he wanted to regain it. But try as he might, he couldn't get it back. Year after year, he couldn't get it back, started to drink. Nobody would understand. He would go to preach to religious people. They didn't even know what he was talking about. That's how poorly people know the real type, who we really are. But anyway, that's another story. And eventually he started to drink so much that he ended up a lonely, desperate man, and died that way. Died an alcoholic. So what touched me about the story, because it's true, is that when you experience your true state, when you experience the oneness that you are, you're never the same inside, because you see that you are far greater and more beautiful than you could even imagine. And it's more than just, it's not the personality, it's the oneness that you are. You are a human being playing the human role. Now, throughout history, people have been searching for this. Whether we realize it or not, it doesn't matter. We all know that there's a home greater than any physical home we know. We all know that there is something, okay, for us. We call it home. And just to go history, because this is important to cover, because the subject today is called is, I-S, which is the ultimate knowing. And we have reached a point in our evolution now, in the dimension that we're living under, because consciousness is changing rapidly now. People are really, really expanding, that we're moving into the understanding of is. But let me take you step by step here as I understand it. Initially, people worshiped the sun. After that, they worshiped gods. Now, we don't need to go there. There must have been extraterrestrials in those days who landed, and they saw them as gods. So, but that's another story. That's also in the scriptures, how people, and then after that came religion. People wanted to believe in something. So a lot of rules and laws and conditions came into being. Then after that came philosophy, and deep thinkers started to know what is life, what is death, what is it all about. And from then developed psychology, which is the ology of the psyche, which is the understanding of mind. And then the mind came into being, and the whole world was taken up. Even if you saw the movie The Secret, it was all about the mind. You know, how grand the mind is, the power of the mind, or the power of positive thinking, etc., etc. And even a few years ago, this was quite something, because the universal mind is a powerful thing. My goodness, everything came from imagination. The whole world is a creation of mind. And then from then came the physicists like Einstein and other, scientists discovered that that life is really a unified principle theory. And this means that everything is one. And then we became interested in the Eastern teachings, non-duality, which is Advaita Vedanta in the East. And we begin to understand more and more that we are not individuals as we think we are. We're far more than that. And so as we begin to expand more and more and more, from the intellectual, begin to understand that this is more than just intellect. And we begin to open the heart and go deeper. Okay, now today what I'd like to focus on is in the word is. I-S. I found something in an old scripture about is, and I made a couple of copies, so I can give you one at the end. And it said this, that is, in its omnipresence, the self reveals itself in the omnipresence in its eternal now. A disciple co-appears with a teacher like a question with its answer. Out of desirelessness, a desire arises in time and dissolves itself in its fulfillment, just as every question finds redemption through an answer. This is the karmic law of consciousness. There is neither teacher nor student, only a question and answer. A question and answer only until answer remains, and that answer is. Okay? Do you understand what I've just read? So, in other words, it seems to be a lot of opposite, there's this and there's that, but eventually we come to understand the ultimate knowledge, and that ultimate knowledge is called is. Why is it is? Because it has three qualities. One, it doesn't know time. In other words, it's beginningless and endless. It's non-duality. It is a oneness itself, and it's unconditional love. Is. I remember the first time I read about this. There was a woman, a Jewish woman, an elderly lady, and she was a social psychologist at Columbia University. And they were having lots of problems at the time at this university, this psychology department. They were fighting all the time and arguing and things going wrong. And she approached the president, which was Dr., I forgot his name now, and she said that there's got to be a better way than this because we're fighting all the time. And so what is the doctor's name? This is Course in Miracles. I can't remember, okay. So therefore, the moment, and she was an agnostic, not an atheist, but an agnostic, She was a very difficult woman. And that night, the moment they agreed that there's got to be a better way for the psychology department, she had a dream. And in this dream, she saw a scroll. And as she opened up the scroll, a voice said, now if you look at the left, you're going to see everything that has happened to you in the past. You're going to know not only the past in this lifetime, but all the other lifetimes that you've lived. If you look at the right, you're going to see the whole future, as far as it can extend. You'll know everything. But then it didn't say anything, the voice in the dream. And in the middle, there were two words, just two words. God is. Then she looked at those two words and she said, I'm going to stick with this. And the moment she said that, the voice appeared very happy, And from then on, she started hearing a voice. Anyway, to make a long story short, after 7 years of receiving this voice, it came A Course in Miracles. You've heard of A Course in Miracles? Okay. So that's the birth of the Course in Miracles, which I respect and love very dearly. But what really made me shook up was those words when I first heard it. And this was quite some time ago when I first saw the story of the Course. It says, God is. And it stops right there. Because that God is everything. There is nothing else to understand once you grasp it. But you cannot do it with the mind. You see, you cannot do it with the mind at all, because it defies any explanation. It defies any definition. Again, so I repeat, those are the three qualities, just so that you'll see that when we answer these questions here, they all come up. The is would be the only answer that can help them. One, it has no beginning, no time. So it always was. Can the mind understand that? No, because time is linear. Time lives on, the mind lives on time. It is oneness. So there's nothing separate from it. It is, period. Okay? And it's unconditional love. So someone, if they say, do I deserve love? Unconditional love would say, of course you do. You could even be a killer and still deserve love. Because love is truly unconditional. Okay, so so what is interesting when we talk about this, many people say, well, what's the use of the mind? Well, the mind is, my God, the mind is a powerful, powerful thing. We're talking about now not just the individualized mind, the mind that is your conditioning, the way you've been brought up, the way you've been brought up to think, your tradition, your nationality, everything else, which is, everything goes into mind. You all beliefs and all expectations and all opinions and all, everything is enmeshed in this consciousness called mind. But one thing that we have failed up to until quite recently, really, is that we have failed to understand that the real true nature of everyone is beyond mind. Okay? And it's because you are, even you say you are, you is. So, okay, so what is mind then? Well, in order to, we're going to start doing some explorations now, okay, with these questions, and I hope everybody will participate. When we talk about mind, we know what we're talking about? Questions. If you want to understand mind in a very simple way, in a very quick way, use the word question. A mind is a question, always seeking an answer. A question comes from the word quest, to seek. Okay? Every question has an answer. But the thing is this, that the answer you get is also from the mind. Which means that you're going to raise another question to understand the answer of that first question. But then, of course, it raises another question regarding the second answer to understand it more. In other words, you keep on going, unending, because you don't want words, you want to feel good. You want to feel, oh, I know, I understand, I from my heart. But we're still doing it from the mind, and the mind can never give you that feeling, that knowing. Okay, so let me ask you something now, and see if you can come up with it. What is an emotional pain? Maybe, don't say anything. What is emotional pain?
A story in the mind.
That's very good. Very good. An unresolved question. That's what emotional pain is, an unresolved question. Now, what is a disturbed mind? You have so many questions, you can't even formulate it. You're so disturbed, so unasked questions. Are you beginning to understand now the importance of the question and answer? Now here is the key. You're always seeking an answer, okay? Because you two, Tanya and Alex, they don't know me. Every day I receive so many letters from around the world asking me these questions. But I answer to how I feel in my heart that they can understand. But if people were to really open themselves and understand, all the questions can be answered by saying, is, and that's the answer, okay? So that would be the answer to every question. But let's go deeper into this to understand the dynamics of is. Because you see, let's say right now, ask me a question, any question at all. Something bothering you, was?
What happens when I die?
Okay, what happens when you die? Okay, well, first of all, there's no death, there's only is. Okay, and that would be it, because you are thinking that you as an individual, and death, it will be the death of you. But you see, there's no individual and there is no death, because you are an appearance of consciousness. Okay, this is when we begin to understand. So the word is means you just are. You is. Okay, that's poor grammar, but that's so. The true nature of you is has no beginning. Is oneness, and is unconditional love. That's who you are. So how can that die? Because all three are unending. All three are beyond time. You see, there is no time. For example, when we talk about time, this is very interesting. One time somebody was asking me if I could talk about time, and I said time is a circle. And that's what it is. For example, the clock, goes from 12, goes back to midnight, starts again, noon, and it goes going forward, right? We think time is going by. Or, for example, the Earth rotating around the sun. Okay, when it faces the sun, we call it day. When it doesn't face the sun, we call it night. And then it keeps on turning and turning and turning, and days, and we call them days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because we want to keep track of every 24 hours. We created 24 hours. Okay, we call it that. And then we call it weeks, and we call it months, and then we call it years, and we think time. And then the Earth goes back exactly the same spot it was before and starts over again, and we call it another year. But nothing's happened, it's just turning around all the time. Okay, so everything is just a movement. Now you might say, what about the body? The body grows old. Oh yes, the body grows old. Although there is a difference between chronological time and psychological time and also physiological time. Some people are old at 50, others can be young at 80. So what really happens, but you still grow old. You still grow old, but why do we grow old? Because again, the cellular structure and how it's structured, the body is made up of 100 trillion cells. And each cell is intelligent. It knows exactly what to do. And now as I explain this, we're beginning to understand is the incredible intelligence of is. Okay, is has two aspects. It is self-identifying or self-recognizing. They're both the same. And the other one is self-government, organizing, self-organizing. Right. Now, do you know that those two cover every aspect of life? Every aspect of life. For example, okay, self-organizing. Now this is what we're beginning to understand is, because we're talking about is, you see. Now, you're very interested in knowing how is works. So one day you go to the restaurant and order a meal. Fine, you order a meal. And you put food in your mouth. Fine. But then you take it for granted. What is it that digests it? What is it that assimilates it? What is it that distributes it? What is it that eventually eliminates it into the bathroom? Okay? What is it that does all that? The is, which is self-governing, self-organizing. Self-organizing. Okay? In the same way that I've mentioned this before, a man and a woman make love, he shoots some sperm into her ovum, then it forms a fetus immediately. This fetus sprouts arms and legs and kidney and brain and eyes and heart. My God, who's doing this? Self-organizing principle of is. You see, this infinite intelligence. So when we begin to understand that everything is being done by is, everything, You know, and that's quite something when I just said everything, and I mean everything. Because as we begin to explore what is does, you'll find there's nothing that is doesn't do. And it's unconditional love all the time. So the only time that we go against is when we think that our ego is real. You see? Because then our individuality says, I am the doer, I do everything, I am my own man, I am my own woman, I make up my mind. Until we begin to realize in humility and surrender that we never did anything. You see? Initially we were controlled by conditioning. You were born a male or a female, a particular time, a zodiac sign, or whatever, which already predetermines your existence. And then after that, predetermined by the parents you've had, by the religion, tradition, and everything else that went into it, your nationality, your views, political or otherwise, all this makes you do what you do. In other words, you're controlled by your conditioning. When you are able to look at that conditioning as just conditioning, which is mind, okay, you take a leap. And then you realize that what is important in your life is all being dictated by a force which we do not even recognize, called is. You see, this power of is. One thing too that is important too is about self-identifying. For example, yeah.
I have a question about choice.
Yeah.
Like
You see, we think we have choice.
Yeah.
But raise your arm right now. Okay? Now could you, okay, put it down. Okay, you raised it because I asked you to.
Yeah.
Now suppose you raise it even if I tell you not to raise it.
Yeah.
It's still the same in your mind, it's still the same. Should I do this, should I do that? But at the same time you're being, there's an impulse in you which either wants to do it or not do it. But that is greater than your own physical choice, than your own mental choice. It's something so deep that you didn't even know it's controlling you. That's what we have to understand. So when we think we have choice, it's very minimal. Okay, it's almost non-existent. Now, but we have choice as far as, for example, there are only two emotions in the world. All emotions come from these two. All negative comes from fear. All positive comes from love. Okay? But if you have fear, can you choose love at that moment?
Probably not, no.
Yeah, you can. You can. If you train yourself, discipline yourself enough, you can. Well, why? Because you're not really choosing. Because if you discipline yourself and see that there's only love, unconditional love, which is, then you'll find that even fear is a form of love, called a frustration of love. For example, love is what we want more than anything. We love to have a relationship. We love to have a lover. We love to be held, to love, to kiss, to whatever, right? It makes you feel good. But the thing is, what am I getting at here? It sounded so good, I was carried away there. No. What was I getting at? Yeah, fear. Okay, so now you want love so badly. But the point is that when love is not nurtured, when love is not seen as the beauty of your own being, okay, what happens? Fear begins to take its place. For example, okay, I love her so much, you know, and then the thought comes, what if I lose her? What if she doesn't love me anymore? What if she leaves me? Got it? Fear. So fear is always there with the love, all the time. They're together, you see? Until we understand that fear is also part of love. Because fear is the fear of losing something precious. And so it makes you want to hold on to it. When you want to hold on to love, you lose love. You see? Because love is. Fear isn't. But the fear exists because we don't know that is. I don't want to seem complicated here. Are we getting it? Okay, great. Okay. So in other words, All emotions are based between fear and love. Now, fear lives in time. It cannot be present. Did you know that fear cannot live now? Think something fearful. Think something fearful and tell me briefly with the fear. Or anything, make it up.
I'm going to die in 5 minutes.
Good. In 5 minutes you're going to die. Right now, are you dead?
No.
So fear is always the future, never now. Okay, got it. That's very good, very good. Okay, you mentioned death twice.
It's
I
a
think-
favorite subject.
I think we have to talk about that. Okay. So this is it. You see. So what am I getting at? Okay. The is does not reject fear and try to live in love. What it does is see them both as one. Accept them both as one. And when you begin to accept them both as one, what happens when you bring fear into love? What remains? Tell me. What remains? If there is fear, but you bring love into it. In other words, you expect, you embrace that fear. What
Love.
happens?
Is?
Hmm?
Is?
No, tell me. Yeah, it's very good, very good, very good. You see, when you have fear and you say, no, fear is rejection, fear is running away, fear is avoidance, fear is, I don't want this, right? That's what fear is. But what if you say, no, I accept it. No, it's okay to have the fear. The moment you accept it, it becomes drowned into the love, because love is granted to absorb any fear.
In some ways, fear was never outside of love.
Yes.
It didn't have to return, only the illusion of the separation needed to be broken, and that can be done. I mean, love's so great at that, because it can just melt the separation, and then they realize that there's no separation.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful. Okay, did you get that? That's beautiful. That's very, very well done. Okay, so now we're beginning to understand what is. It has no opposite. No opposite. Love and fear. Life and death. Are they opposite? No, not at all. Not at all. And when the first thing that a person who awakens to their true nature, the first thing that drops away from them is the fear of death. Fear of death drops just like that, because you cannot die. Why? Why you cannot die?
Is.
Because you is. The truth of you is that you never really existed.
Keep saying it.
Did you know that? We think right now we are alive and we have an idea what aliveness is. Did you know that? But it's all a concept of the mind. It's all an illusion. I'm not kidding. Really, this is something that I've realized, and I've been doing this for many years. But it's a fact. We're not as alive as we think we are. We live in our mind. We live in total illusion until we begin to experience the richness that we are inside. And then it's just a completely revolutionary, way of looking.
What is inside?
Insight?
Inside. You say it's this feeling inside.
Oh, very good, very good. There is no inside or outside. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but when I say inside, it means I'm feeling it in here.
In the localized body at that.
A localized body, yeah. Yeah, very good, okay. So, yeah, sometimes it's good to ask me questions, because I might use words that are very limited, and you'll find that I'm using a word that it could seem contradictory, but it really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a way of, using the language.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we know that emotional pain is an unanswered question, unresolved question. A great disturbance of personality, a person being locked up in a mental home, is a person that if you were to ask them, what is bothering you? They have no idea what is bothering them, because it's filled with unanswered questions, you see, unasked questions. But everything is a question. It's a quest. It's a seeking. It's a wanting to know. And the reason we have mind is because it creates questions. Questions are always looking for an answer. The answer always leads us back to the mental aspect. See, people ask me questions and I give them an answer. But the answer is not the answer. It is just words. You see, it doesn't give them peace. It makes them feel, oh, I see, it makes sense. So now they are ready for a deeper question. And that's the game. But the mind, it doesn't matter what answer it gives you, it is never satisfying. Answers do not awaken you spiritually because it's all mind. It's a circle repeating itself over and over again. The only way that will awaken us to our true nature is to go beyond mind. Okay? And that state beyond mind is. So it cannot be deciphered, it cannot be understood, it cannot intellectually be perceived. It's not possible. And that's why there's a lot of intellectual debates and philosophy never ends, going from one thing to another, because they're trying to make sense in a verbal way, intellectual way. And what we're talking about has nothing to do, it's beyond the mind. Now when I say beyond the mind, what I'm talking about, because the mind, even the brain itself, is linear. You know that, right? Okay, it means it lives in time. You know, it's horizontal. There's the past and there's the future. And it's moving in a straight line all the time, it's moving. Okay? But the truth is not linear. The truth is now. And the now knows no fear, like we discussed in a moment. Okay? It's always in the future. It's always an idea in the future. Oh, I'm getting an anxiety attack. Okay? The anxiety attack might seem as if it's happening now. But what's causing it, the pictures and everything else that's going on, is what's going to happen. Oh my gosh, they asked me to give a public talk in front of 1,000 people for the first time. I want to die. You see what I mean? So, but at the moment is the fear that's going to happen in the future. The fear is never now. Okay? So if you bring anything to now and allow yourself to look at it, you go beyond it. You begin to go beyond it to the is. Because is, just is. Has no time, has no past, has no future. What I'd like to do, I have quite a few, I grabbed quite a few here.
Would you say that when you are when there is presence, there is no you, because you exists in time. So there is no past and future, because when you are present, the ego needs time, and you are outside of time at that moment.
Right.
And that's actually the doorway. So it's so really there is no you. That's why is can experience itself.
That's right. That's right.
For lack of
And
better
that's how
words.
that's beautiful. That's why people also practice meditation, to experience is, to get moments of that. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. Presence. You see, sometimes you meet a master, somebody who's totally awakened, spiritual master, and you see, just being near him, he doesn't have to say a word. You feel it. You feel this presence. And what is that presence? Because he's not there.
It's fun.
It's true,
It's
though.
a paradox. It is. But
Yeah,
it's
because he's not there at all. He's not shy, he's not afraid, he's not this, he's not that. He could be empty without any people or full of people. He's just there. He's a presence, and that presence is magnetic. Because it is. It's not subject to time, it's not subject to what people would think of me. It's not subject to what I think about myself. That's so beautiful what you said, and that's a presence. Now I have a few that I gathered. I didn't make a point of what they are about. I'm so convinced that every question is answered by is, that I would like you to read it, and then let's explore how it relates to is. Okay? The first one I'd like to answer myself because it's very basic, but I grabbed it and I want her to know this. She said, the ego, at least mine, is always in the negative mode. Vipassana meditation, along with other techniques such as listening to your videos, among others, is of great help. Hence, often I am able to create a space between the ego self and I. My question is, why is the ego so damn negative? And incidentally, is the ego negative all the time?
It can play either side.
Hmm?
It can play either side. It doesn't need to be, it can play on the greatest or on the
Okay,
worst.
but in truth, it's like this. Remember in the olden days when we used to take a photograph? And it's not digital. You take a
Negative.
photo and then you have a negative.
Right.
So what happens is that everything that is white becomes black. And everything that is black is white. And then you develop it into its opposite, becomes positive. Okay? So the initial picture is always negative. Well, ego is always negative. But not because it's bad. You are right, though. It's not because it's bad. It is because it's based on illusion. It has no reality at all. You see? So the ego is always negative. Yes. Because it cannot... first of all, it lives totally from the conditioned aspect of self. Okay? Let's say I was brought up a Catholic and they told me that I was born in sin and there's the devil and there's damnation if I die in mortal sin and sex is dirty. Let's say I'm brought up with all these ideas. Did you know that it might take me many, many years cleaning myself out of that before I feel totally without guilt? It is so brainwashing the way you're brought up. So that's what ego is. Ego is the way you've been brought up to believe you are. Because in truth, you are life playing the role of you. In other words, you are being playing the human role. Okay? That's quite something when you realize it. Okay, so yes, the ego is always negative because that is its nature. It sees the darkness before the light because that's how it sees. And most people are negative but that negativity is not bad. Okay, and this is probably what you were going to say. The negativity is not bad if we use it as a form of understanding the opposite. So when we grab the negative and look at it, it can teach us, okay, why am I so negative? You know, I want to be loved so much. I want to feel good. I want to feel happy. So why am I not happy? Why is this all the time? You see? Because the conditioning tells you you are a limited being. You are based on how you've been brought up. Therefore, there's always the chance that I might not deserve love. There's always the chance of thinking I am not good enough. There's always the chance of thinking something is wrong with me. You see? And did you know, I've been a hypnotherapist for over 30 years, okay? And, well, of course, everybody that comes to see me is because they have some problem. So they were always negative. But this thing, meeting people saying, why am I negative all the time? Why is this happening all the time? Because you can't help it. Because you still think you are a person, and you are not, because that's a deception. You are life appearing as a person, and there's a world of difference between the two. Okay? So the moment you begin to understand, my goodness, no, I am like what you talked about presence, how beautiful that is, how relaxed and free that is, you see? So I am really free. I am not subject to my past. And when I begin to realize that my nature is free, it is that freedom that makes me automatically positive. But I'm not trying to be positive. I am positive automatically because I'm free. See, the negative, the ego is never free. Because the ego is limiting. I am this one, I am that one, I'm a Taurus, I'm an Aries, I'm a Leo, I am a man, I'm a woman, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm fat, I'm thin. You know, like we have such an image of who we think we are, build up so much that we can't help being negative because we're comparing and separating all the time. So negativity is there all the time. Got it? But when you is, that doesn't matter anymore. Because everything falls, everything is beautiful on its own. It just is. Are you understanding me? You're getting it? Oh, okay. Okay, so, and then she asks, does it always remain negative? Yes. Awareness helps us to subside, hence diminish the grip. Yes. Okay, so I thought because this is quite brief. Okay. Would you like to read this one? I don't know what it is yet, but I love the way he reads. Could you read it loud so it will take your voice?
Sure. Dear Burt, I suffer from severe eczema to the point that I can't sleep in my bed for more than 2 or 3 hours. After seeing a couple of doctors, allopathic and homeopathic, and not having any visible positive results, I found a clinic that was specialized on psoriasis healing, and other skin conditions. Their method is based on treatment of the brain, blocked emotions, negative patterns, etc. Today I went to my 6th session and we found the root problem of my skin condition, my traumatic childhood and abusive father. After many years of suffering from my father and world situations, bullying, etc., I started to close my heart so that no one could hurt me on a deeper level. My inability to forgive and understand fully my father's actions and reactions alongside that closed my heart to the point that I can't cry anymore, made the recipe of my super itching eczema. Burt, I want to forgive my father. I want to be free of all this. I know it's...
Oh yeah, there was another one.
I know it's unhealthy to be like this, and I don't want it anymore. Can you help me? Any suggestions? I was told to meditate and imagine my father and what he has done to me, and accept the feeling and not block it. It's something that I don't feel good doing. It will be tremendous to me. Do you have any quicker way? Thank you, Burt.
So sweet. Okay, first of all, forgiveness is the only way. The only way that we can heal is through forgiveness. But when it comes to forgiving someone who's bullied you, someone who has abused you, it's not an easy thing. But what we have to understand too is that when someone bullies you, somebody has bullied them. Did you know that? Because bullying is a need for power. And that need for power comes from a deep need of hollowness inside, an emptiness inside. You see? And so you've been controlled so much in your life, you've been told so much how you should be or not be, that you begin to angry. Oh, damn it, listen to me, you know. And you want to take control, you see? Because by taking control, you become a bully, like, and you always, when you're bully, incidentally, you're always bully something less than you. Never your equal, you see? So therefore, what happens is that you bully something because you have been bullied yourself, and you want to take it out of your system. And if you don't take it out of your system, it keeps, of course, growing inside you, and it will fester. The only way, and Course in Miracles is beautiful, and this is something that I've learned also in hypnotherapy, the only way to start healing yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, intellectually, spiritually, is through forgiveness. There is no other way. But the thing about forgiveness, and this is it, you see, forgiveness is not something you do. Forgiveness is something you understand. Because as long as you think you're going to forgive someone, it means that that someone has hurt you and you're still carrying it. You've got to come to the point when you realize, but there's nothing to forgive. And so the only way that he can understand now is that the Father whom he probably finds it hard to forgive, his father is carrying the same pain that he himself is carrying. Because it's a perpetuating thing, you see. The father does to the son or the child, and then they do it to somebody else in a relationship. So it keeps on. The only way it stops is when there is total and absolute forgiveness. But forgiveness means that you understand that there's nothing to forgive, because all it is a chain reaction, a vicious circle that keeps repeating, and it won't stop. It keeps gaining momentum over and over and over again. Because everything that we do, for example, there have been so many killers and serial killers. Like, take for example some serial killers, you know, like someone who was killing all nurses, you see. And his mother was a nurse, and she abused him. And she was sleeping with guys, and when he cried in bed because he wanted his mother's attention, she wouldn't be there. So he had such hate, venom building up inside him that he started getting even. You see? So this is what, we are not bad. Badness doesn't really exist. But what exists is ignorance. You see? And that ignorance is covered up with negativity. And negativity feeds on negativity. Like I said before, if you're angry, you try not to be angry, you become angrier. Okay? So you're angry for feeling angry. It's the same way with guilt. You know, you're guilty for feeling guilty. And then you say, I shouldn't be guilty anymore. And the moment you stop feeling guilty, something in you says, I feel guilty for not feeling guilty. I'm so used to it. Do you understand? It's a vicious circle. So in other words, negativity feeds on negativity. It's a perpetuating thing. Okay? The only way to stop it is not by saying, I forgive, but to see that there's nothing to forgive. All it is a chain reaction, and you've got to stop it. Okay, and the only way to stop it is to see that it's nothing but madness. It's a vicious circle. Okay? It's like something catching fire, you know. You go into a forest, all you need is one match, and you can get the whole forest on fire. It keeps on gaining momentum, and this is what ego does, gains momentum. Did I say something that has touched you? No? Oh.
No.
Oh, okay. So, okay, because I felt some thoughts of yours. Okay, so are we understanding this negativity, how it builds? And the only way, and I know I'm taking my time here because forgiveness is a very subtle thing, and the Course does the best job of all. That when you grow up to see that everybody is divine, everybody is unconditional love in their own heart. And when you see that what they're doing is because they are so desperate for love, that the only way that they can get love is through control. And control can take many forms: bullying, hating, beating, sadism, masochism. Do you understand? You see this? And the only way to stop all that is simply by seeing that only love works. Nothing else works. And the only way to stop it is by loving. And you can do loving when you see that there's really nothing to forgive, because the person you're forgiving is really forgiving yourself. You see, you are healing. So, okay, so anything that we keep inside that we don't forgive, it gains momentum inside us in the form of ill health. Okay? So, is there anything you'd like to share regarding this letter?
Well, just depending upon the consciousness, when people hear what you've said, the danger is that they then think they need to do something to forgive, and so what they simply do is suppress their real feelings so they can be this person they think they should be, which is forgiving. And so the key is actually in the other direction as far as I can see, and that is that it is about the suggestion of re-entering the feelings just because, not for a psychological thing, but because in that they can see great compassion for themselves, to see how they really were and have incredible compassion for who they are, not blame, but compassion. And when they have that compassion for themselves, stop making them wrong or someone else, the compassion will automatically spread, because they will see the same pain that they have when loved will be the same pain they will able to feel or see in their father. And if they can love themselves, then automatically they can't help but to love him. And in that, it dissolves, not by trying, because trying in that,
Trying is not is it?
yes,
Right.
trying is attempting to control, to remake yourself, as opposed to totally accept and love and see the full and beauty of yourself.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Yes. So you see now, I went into saying that forgiveness is not something you do, and it's true. But he did such a beautiful job in showing how forgiveness itself is. That's beautiful. You see all that, how yeah, that's great. Okay, so who would like to read the next one? Anybody would like to volunteer? Read it loud. Okay.
Sure. My voice is loud enough. The circled one here that says 2?
Yeah, usually I put a circle around so that it leaves it there. Do not use the name of the person.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so it says...
Could you come a little closer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Having allowed what you said inside, I can't help but to somehow get crossed, though. Since something is clear that whatever is seen or said is not it. So how could I ever move? All things move in front, but something silent always watches the coming and going, and is never touched by any of it. Then when you can't really take any step in any direction from here, some thought asks, well, now what? Is this it? Where is the love and all sorts of magical bliss? Hee hee.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Not done.
Oh.
And I don't know. No, can't rise up and say it's here because I don't know what it is. What is here?
Very good. Very good. Okay. Do you see the beauty of that email? Who would like to share?
I feel that the question is once again coming back to the story in the mind that there is something other than is. So it's an identification with the package of the personal, this person who wrote the question, trying to resolve the question. But the question is asked in the linear, the answer lies in the nonlinear. So as long as there's trying to be resolved there in time and space, there's no resolution. It's only when they drop the whole
Beautiful.
story.
Thank you, Tanya. Oh,
Very beautiful.
very beautiful. Wow. So nice to hear that. Yes, and that's exactly what is working. You see, he's taking all the stuff that's happening inside his head, but he's stumped because he still thinks that the answer lies still, he can reach it. The answer is, it's not something that he can formulate in a, oh, this is the answer, do this or do this, or don't do this, or, you see what I mean? It's not specific. The answer is. And the is-ness means, again, those 3 qualities of is. Okay? Who want to repeat those 3 points, the qualities of is?
Unconditional love,
That's right.
self-organizing.
No, that's
Oh.
that's the aspects of it. Yeah, the qualities of it. Yeah,
It's eternal.
unconditional love, eternal.
Yeah.
Yeah, outside time.
Yeah. So those are the three, you see, and those three are the answer to every question. But the answer is not made up of words, is not made up mentally. I'm so pleased. That's great. How old are you?
28.
28. Oh, I thought you were younger.
That's good.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Okay, so as we begin to explore, we'll find that answers that we arrive at from a book and from a teacher, they're okay. They give us the answer in words. But what we are reaching for is something beyond the mind, you see? And beyond the mind, again, has to do with those three qualities: unconditional love, oneness, and
Self-governing.
that's the aspect of
Oh.
Eternity. Eternal.
the eternal, the time, yeah, beyond time, yeah, beyond time, unconditional love, and yeah. Okay. You see, with me, either it comes automatically from my heart. If I begin to think, I lose it. So I've learned not to think when I'm talking, you know. But sometimes I start thinking when I grab some thoughts from the people around me. You know, sometimes that happens. So and then I kind of lose my point. Okay, so this is great. Anybody would like to read the next one?
Yeah, I can read it.
Okay. Do not read the name.
No. Dear Burt, I had many questions in mind since long, and again I start watching a few of your videos. After that, I have got the realization that we are only space. I realized what you were saying. I'm very happy for that. But I am in one situation which I would like to share with you. I cannot keep my eyes open for a long time. I like not to see anything. Most of the time I close my eyes, actually I enjoy it. And whoever I see, I start crying automatically. I don't know how to explain to you. As you told, I talk to Holy Spirit and really it answers me. I remember you all the time. You know, dear Burt, I don't know why I have become like this. I cannot help it. I have become overexcited. I am sure you can explain it to me and make me understand.
Thank you. Okay, so what is happening with this person, so-called person?
And you could say he's waking up.
Yes. Did you know that the moment you start waking up, you start crying? I'm not talking about tears of sadness, but tears of joy. You could hear a poem and start crying. You could see a bird fly in beauty, and tears come down your eyes automatically. You become so sensitive because you're so open in heart. You see? So this is beautiful. See what is happening with him. He thinks it's wrong. What's wrong with me? Here I cry over the slightest thing. Yeah, that happens initially when the heart starts opening. You begin to notice things you never noticed before. You know, you watch a movie and there's a great love affair and it's so beautiful, and they haven't seen each other for many, many years, and finally they see each other and they run towards each other, and as they run towards each other, you're going like this, holding onto your seat, and they finally embrace. Oh my God. And you feel it. Now, if you had watched it before, you know, you might think of it, oh, this is silly, you know. But now you're beginning to see beauty you've never seen before. You see, and it touches you in very deep ways because the heart is opening. And the more the heart opens, you see, the less you use the mind. So this is what is happening to him. So this is very good. Okay. Anybody else read? Okay.
Thank you for all your videos. I am still here on the path, frustrated. Why? Why is it so hard to wake up? I know the truth. I know there is no person, just I am, space. Is like am hypnotized to ply the role of Teresa.
Oh, no. Okay. All right.
Please help to wake up from this hypnosis. Is hell living a lie and knowing the truth? Waiting for your answer. Love you.
Okay. So is there some contradiction in what you said?
There's a
I just keep bringing it back to that comparison between love and fear. And it seems like this is this question that this person is asking, hell and heaven, and is very much caught in this dual kind of the question, the asking process. Is still very much identified in that process.
That's identified. But you see, she said also that, but I know the truth, and I know I'm not a person, but I am so frustrated.
But if
So who's frustrated?
the ego.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if she knows she's not a person, would she be frustrated? No.
There is a mental concept
Yeah.
of knowing those answers, but they're, as they say, painted cakes do not satisfy hunger.
Right. And the map is not the territory.
Yes,
Right. Yeah.
that's it, and it's that deepening, that striving to know that the heart has to break open so that it can be grounded in the real experience as opposed to the mental understanding.
Yes. As opposed to mental understanding.
Yeah.
Right. And to go beyond that, to go into the heart, you see, the mind then will start dropping away, because you see that the mind is always lying. Did you know that? Did you know that everything that the mind tells you is a lie? That's a hard one. See, a few years ago, everything was based, you go to a psychiatrist or a counselor or anything, they teach you how to cope. But they do not teach you who you are. You see? And it is only when you wake up to who you are that you don't need to cope with anything. It's okay. The easiest thing is to simply allow everything to be what it is. That's what is means, you see, because your true nature are those three things. The aspect is self-identifying and self-organizing. You see? And that covers everything. That means everything that is happening now is appearing night, is happening. And tomorrow seems to be going to another day. In other words, what's doing this? It's the very movement of life. We are here, so solidly seated, and yet the earth is hurtling through space at 20 miles per second. That's how fast it's going. And yet we don't feel it because of gravity. But what is gravity? Can we understand it? Who created it? Where did it come from? So self-organizing principle. See? When you begin to understand the beauty, the glory, the immensity, the thing we call is, which is God, really. You can call it God. But you see, when we use the word God, we're so trained in our religious training of somebody anthropomorphic sitting up there in the clouds that we lose the fact that we are one with that energy. Is everything, you see? You are that. There is nothing separate. Nothing can be separate from anything. It's not possible. It's just not possible. You know, I used to have thousands of questions, but now as I look, I cannot see any separation in anything. But that looking is not done by the mind anymore, you see. It has reached a point of seeing the aspect that I couldn't see before, because I was always thinking about it, trying to figure it out. You see, there's no figuring out, there's no thinking about it. It is, period. So did we yeah, we did answer her, yeah. Would you like to read the next one? Sure. Yeah, okay.
On the question of there being no experiencer, only experience, why is there a particular perspective? Why do I only experience this particular set of things and not any other set? What is the it that makes those experiences uniquely mine if there is no unique me? These thoughts arise only in my mind and no other. So how can this set of thoughts and experiences, which are unique, not be at least something different to the other ones? Surely the uniqueness of my experiences is indicative of the reality of a unique individual experiencer.
Mm-hmm. It sounds very logical and so very true. Did you ever watch the waves in the ocean?
Yes.
Billions of them?
Mm-hmm.
Each wave is unique. Each wave seems to be separate. Each wave is different, but they're all the same water.
Yeah.
So let's explore that, because isn't it unique what he's experiencing?
It seems that actually many people experience these thoughts.
Yeah.
Right?
Every letter that you read is many letters that you read.
Unique and separate are not necessarily exclusive. I think it's possible to have uniqueness, but it doesn't mean separation.
Oh. Where have you been all my life? Okay. What would you say?
I'm still getting over that statement, but that whole thing, that there's a part that is trying to understand the uniqueness, but also is attached to that uniqueness. And it's like no snowflake is different.
Right. No fingerprint is the same. No face is the same.
It's
all
actually the beauty is that when we let go of who we think we are, our true uniqueness, manifested by the is-ness, can glow in its glory. It's actually the only time it can.
That's right.
Otherwise,
nothing can appear unless it's what is the word again? Unique. Yeah. It cannot appear. Nothing can appear unless it's unique. Did you know that even identical twins, there's still a difference? There is still a uniqueness in each one. Everything is unique. Everything.
Is the very nature of is-ness, self-organizing, all of that, I can't use the word insist, but that makes everything unique, because that is the very nature of how the is-ness works.
That's right. That's how the is-ness works. Yeah, it's just like you said it so simply, so directly. Are you teaching or doing anything?
That's great.
Are you a counselor?
Yes.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When see, this is the beauty, because when we think there is no such thing as you, there is no personal you, we begin to think of almost like a form of death, like, wow, you know, it's so frightening. But it's the whole thing is so beautiful, because yeah, I didn't find the word.
It's like that. Then your true uniqueness, your true beauty, it makes you cry, just like everybody's true beauty.
Yeah,
it's so incredible.
that's what makes the wholeness so rich.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
there's such a great beauty that you could weep, and you are part of that beauty as that individual.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
It's like if you were to look at the rainbow and say, oh, there's so many different colors, they must all be separate. But you know that it comes from the light.
that's right. So beautiful. Yeah. Ah. See, and another word for is-ness is light. It just is. You see, you cannot explain, but it produces all the different colors, all combinations. How many combinations of different lights can you get? Different colors. How many different colors can you get?
Uncountable.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Also depends on the species. There's other species, they can see many more colors than us under the ocean.
That's right too.
The different
yeah.
rods
yeah.
and the eyes and that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't even imagine what another animal can see.
Yeah. So now this is beautiful that it has come on this point now, because now we're going to see with that question there, is that is that the is-ness, it's all in one word, and we think like it's packed, it's there, but it means it embraces everything. And that in embracement means there's no good or bad, right or wrong, opposite. You see? Everything is part of that whole, and it makes it what it is, you see? And so every question and every seeming problem is not a problem at all. It is simply seen from such a limited view, such a limited way of thinking, that it seems like a problem. But if you were to really look at it, take a deep breath, and be one with it, you'll find it's not a problem at all.
So what would you recommend the person does that?
Hmm?
What do you recommend the person does that wrote the letter?
What would you?
I don't know. Look how unique you are. I don't know how ununique.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because
Yeah, I don't know how to
he's
phrase it.
still thinking that his uniqueness makes him an individual, separate. You see? And so that's what he has to understand now. That his uniqueness is beautiful. It adds, because nothing in the world is like another. It's not possible. It cannot. You cannot have a complete duplication. It can't be possible. Like I said, even the fingerprints. You know, not only mine, but everyone in the whole universe are different. There isn't another face like mine. You know, nose, I have nose, mouth, ears, and everything like everybody else. But it's totally unique.
This might go too far, but in one sense, it isn't even his uniqueness. It's not something to identify with.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That's it. That's what he needs to hear. Yeah. Yeah, I missed it and you grabbed it. It's not his. It's the way he's appearing.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the beauty.
And to love himself for being that unique. You see, not better, not worse, but
Just-
being, yeah.
Because he is not, that is not who makes him up.
Yes.
Because it doesn't belong to him.
That's right. Yeah. You know why nothing
And
belongs
that's so
to you?
Beautiful.
You know why nothing belongs to you?
Because everything belongs to you.
Because everything is you. Beautiful. Yeah. And that's why there's no you, because you is all there is. You see, but when you understand is, you grab it. You see? Because now we no longer see opposition. We no longer see up and down. We see everything as just forming that wholeness. Just like I love the way you said about the rainbow. God, it's so beautiful. Yeah, and that's it, you see? Yeah.
I think this is a really beautiful question. It's obviously written from a very refined perception. And I was just rereading that first line, how it says, on the question of there being no experiencer, only experience, why is there a particular perspective? And it just came to me that when, let's say, consciousness manifests itself into these packages, what we perceive to be individualized, perspective is the modality, it's the gift. And you could say that it's only through perception that we evolve.
Very good.
So it's not like a problem that needs to be overcome. It's only to understand that this is the gift of evolution. And at some point, perception can be, let's say, surrendered. But until then, it's like a beautiful tool, actually.
It's a beautiful tool. Beautiful tool. Because let's take evolution. Everything is part of evolution. Evolution. Everything that is happening is evolving us. But yet at the same time, everything is already perfect. See, the is perfect. So we're moving constantly towards until we actually become that center. You see? So we make use of all the tools and being that particular, not individual, but what was the word?
Perception, having
Uniqueness.
that uniqueness.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's okay to really embrace your uniqueness as well. It's not about like, kind of
I gotta get beyond this.
burying the interesting, unique factors. I think it's really beautiful to say, hey,
Absolutely.
what gifts have I been given? And
Yes,
just because you embrace them doesn't mean that you attach to them.
that's right. There's a total
That's
difference
totally-
between the two. Embracement is absolutely essential. Yeah, to embrace who you are, what you are, the way you appear to be, the way you are, period. You see? Yeah. And when you embrace it, what comes? You think there's going to be pride? There's going to be arrogance? No, it becomes humility. Why? Because when you start appreciating how different you are, how you are totally unique, then you look around you and you say, but everybody is unique. I'm nothing special. You see? So the more you can embrace and appreciate yourself, the more you're able to appreciate everyone else. You see? And it all falls into that swim. Okay. Are there any questions? And then we will wrap it up.
I just wanted to say I was thinking of all the letters together, and it kind of made me think of the basis of all the letters is really being is lost in becoming. And becoming is really life, the life we're talking about in the letters.
The evolving life.
Yeah, so
Yeah. And
everything, all these letters are that process.
All that
We are
is that
being,
process.
becoming, and it's lost in becoming.
Yeah,
And
lost
we're
in
talking
becoming.
about becoming.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. We're lost in becoming, yeah. And becoming what? What we have always
Yes,
been.
it's,
It's. Namaste.
Namaste.